So as you know, I'm the CEO of a company called Fringe. I have ADHD. What do you think about the narrative that I've pushed? I've seen other people push on LinkedIn and other platforms that there is a superpower element to ADHD, that those of us that have it shouldn't just look at ourselves with shame and go, oh, I can't pay attention, I'm inefficient, I'm forgetful, just look at all these negative aspects, but go, well, actually, there's a superpower here with hyper-focus and being able to take ideas and run further and without fear and without worrying about like what could go wrong. You know, there tends to be a lot of ability to kind of go from 0 to 1 as a result of that, at least in my experience. Does the data support that? Does the research support that? Do the experiences of other people online that you can tap into? Is there really a superpower there? And if so, how do people with ADHD, especially in leadership roles, lean into that as opposed to into the shame and into the imposter syndrome that's so prevalent?
Search for what the research actually says about ADHD and leadership, because this is a loaded question, and I want to give you real data, not just LinkedIn inspiration. So the data actually backs the narrative you're pushing, but with an important asterisk. ADHD traits are significantly overrepresented among entrepreneurs and founders. People with ADHD show higher entrepreneurial alertness, more intuitive cognitive styles, and that hunger for novelty that drives innovation from 0 to 1. The hyper-focus thing is real. When it's channeled with vision and deadlines, it produces breakthroughs. But here's the honest part. Those same traits that make you brilliant at launching don't automatically make you brilliant at scaling and managing stability. Syracuse meta-analysis found that impulsivity and hyperactivity are positively linked to entrepreneurial intent and launch, but not significantly to post-launch outcomes. So the superpower narrative is true, but it's conditional. It's powerful in certain environments and phases, less so in others.
How do you think that plays into AI coming into society? So if the ADHD brain craves novelty and is good at that launching piece and that 0 to 1 piece, then in my mind, it stands to reason that being able to produce things generatively from 0 to 1, to produce an idea, a prototype, to produce a pitch deck, to produce some sort of deliverable, has gotten unbelievably faster. What I'm doing right now with you, where I'm kind of espousing a theory that's based off of what I've seen, heard, and experienced, and then you're able to very quickly, while you kind of stall for time and reiterate what I've said, go online and research, and then bring data, and here's what Harvard has said, and here's the studies, and 171 companies, and all that. None of that was possible a year ago. I was not able to do what I'm doing right this very second, nor was I able to take every business idea I have and just create a Claude project and create some sort of document that's like the idea in a nutshell and then share it with people like I do every week of my life. And my family and friends are so tired of the next business idea hitting their desk. But I can do that now, and I wasn't able to before. So does it stand to reason that those with this skill set, with this superpower, though there are a bunch of weaknesses on the other side of that I know quite well, are they potentially supercharged by AI in this era? Is there sense in somebody like me actually doing that 0 to 1 work as more of a full-time pursuit, whether that's kind of within one company or whether that's launching many? How do you think AI has changed the world in terms of our ability to launch things and our ability to kind of move things along and get them started? And is that just me chasing novelty to an extent that's actually destructive in the end?
Really honest question. Okay, so you're onto something real, but it's complicated. Yes, AI has absolutely supercharged your 0 to 1 ability. Prototypes that took weeks now take hours. You can validate ideas in days. That's real. And your ADHD brain is genuinely advantaged in that environment. The novelty craving, the rapid problem solving, the ability to see non-obvious paths, all of that gets amplified. But here's the honest part. The research on ADHD entrepreneurs called chasing novelty as a form of avoidance. When things get hard or ambiguous, which they always do in scaling, your brain craves a new idea. And now, with AI, that dopamine hit of a shiny new prototype is literally one conversation away. The research calls it keeping your business in controlled chaos. You say yes to too many things. Avoid the boring infrastructure work that actually scales, and rinse repeat. So it's not that the superpower is destructive, it's that without systems and brutal prioritization, you can become a generator of ideas that never mature into impact. The question isn't, should you do this work? It's, do you have a filter? Are there ideas that don't make the deck? Or does everything that hits you land on your family's desk?
It's a great question. I'd say I do have a filter. If I prototyped everything that came through my mind, I would probably have to do several prototypes a day. I definitely do have a filter, but I think there's also a ton of truth to kind of chasing novelty to avoid. I don't think that's just ADHD brains that do that. I think to some extent everyone does that. When things are hard and we don't want to feel what we're feeling, we start planning a vacation, or we start dreaming about wherever our happy place is. I think that's a relatively normal part of the human condition. But yeah, that's really interesting. One thing I've noticed about being in leadership and being wired that way is that I can overwhelm the people around me with, hey, I got this great idea. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's do this big thing. Let's do this thing that nobody's ever done. And it'll be so novel and new that it'll get a ton of attention. And people are like, that actually makes sense, but I'm still doing the thing from last week that you stacked on top of the thing from the week before, which was stacked on top of the thing from the week before. And we can't do everything, So I still think there's an extent that even though I feel like I have a filter, I think for those around me that are more in roles to go and to implement and to move the ball forward and then to scale on top of that, it can be really overwhelming, especially in a world where the kind of the generation of the idea is so much faster than it was, that the pace at which I can move and the pace at which others can move in terms of getting things into reality, those have gotten further apart. So I think, though, that over the course of time, I think about like all the automation and all the ways in which operationally we're getting more efficient, and maybe that compresses back together, and the generation of ideas and the implementation of those ideas and the scale of those ideas, maybe they can be in more lockstep in the future as the technology progresses, but I'm not sure.